There will be women shown. Bismillah. Let's jump right in.
Do you think that there's a link between Muslim immigration in Europe and an increase in sexual violence towards European women?
The answer to that is yes, and there are some caveats. My uneasy answer to this is yes. The caveat is not all Muslim men are misogynists, and not all Muslim men harass or attack women or treat them badly. But there is a minority, and that minority is considerable. And that minority of very young Muslim men have come from societies where women are viewed differently from the way they're viewed in Europe. And once they come to Europe, they start to behave in ways that are hostile to women. Sexual harassment, rapes, gang rapes, even syndicates or grooming gangs that prey on young girls. Now, what has Islam got to do with any of this? When you talk to religious leaders, Muslim religious leaders, what they say is, well, the behavior of these men is wrong, but the fact that women are around in public, uncovered, and by themselves is also wrong. Within Islam or within the tribal culture that some of these young men come from, women who are regarded as bad are regarded as unprotected. There definitely is a clash of values when it comes to the values of Europe versus the values of Islam.
I've seen the data that she puts forward for the claims that she makes, Michaela. And just go for the idea. The idea is that Muslim men immigration coming into European countries causes an increase in rape. That's what she is saying. Now, look, she mentions, what is the data that she mentions? She mentions data from about 5 European countries, including but not limited to the United Kingdom, France, and Sweden. Now, what she then states is that there's evidence for a causal relationship in page 33. What is this data missing? I mean, this data has everything going for it, in fact, except for the evidence.
Okay, Daniel, right? Let me respond to what you said. I got your point. Let me respond to it because I think there's an issue here, what understandably so, of shock and denial. And I just need you to be aware of something that you may not be aware of. An inquiry found in Rotherham, there were more than 1,400 victims, 1,400 victims of grooming and sexual exploitation between 1997 and 2013. That's just in one town. But it gets worse, Daniel. Then it happened in Rochdale. Basically, sentences were given up to 19 years because of crimes committed against girls between the age of 13 and 15 in and around Rochdale between 2008 and 2010. Then there was a case in Oxford in 2013 where 5 Muslim men were convicted and handed sentences at the Old Bailey for exploiting girls between 11 and 15. All of the men were of Pakistani origin, except for 2 who were North African, also Muslim. Then it was in Bristol, where 13 Somali Muslim men were jailed for more than a total of 100 years after they were convicted in 2014 of running an inner-city sex ring. Then in Aylesbury, 6 South Asian men were jailed in 2015. For grooming underage white girls between 2006 and 2012. Then, in Peterborough, a total of 10 men were convicted of child sex crimes in the town. And the boss, Mohammed Hijab, who was originally from Pakistan, he was jailed for 13 years at the Old Bailey after he was found guilty of forcing a 14-year-old girl to perform a sex act on him. And then Newcastle, and Daniel, you know what? It's too depressing to carry on. It goes on and on. You know, Daniel, I'm sorry you're not going to like hearing this stuff, but the truth doesn't necessarily care about your feelings. One of the main defendants in trial argued that it's his religious right to have sex with underage girls, and that was his defense. Look it up, Daniel.
Except for the evidence.
रेप के केसेस में भी लड़कियों की गलती होती है। लड़कियों की भी तो कुछ गलती होगी जब भी तो रेप होया है। रेप के केस में टीचर्स कहते हैं कि इसमें लड़की भी गलती करते हैं।
लड़कियां लड़कों को देख के स्माइल करती है तो वो अगलों को ऐसे लगता है कि हमारी से आकर्षित हो रही है। इस वजह से रेप होता है।
Yes, girls are to blame in case of rape. The girls have to have done something wrong. That's why she's been raped. Our teachers say that girls are also at fault in rape cases. When the girls smile at boys, they feel attracted to them. Reporter, that's why rapes happen. Boy, yes.
I'm sure that's the only time we've ever heard that one too.
Another one out of France involves Mila. Mila is a young woman you may have heard of. She has gotten to be very famous and lives in hiding because she criticized Islam a few years back and was inundated, absolutely barraged with death threats. And recently she was walking along on the banks of the Rhone River in Lyon, which sounds very romantic, but she actually filmed Muslims walking by and making obscene gestures in her direction and spitting at her. And so you think, oh, well, they must know who she is. It's a wonder that she didn't get killed. But then she explained they did not know who she was. That's just how they treat any woman who is walking around unveiled.
Ladies, if you want to wear a hijab, you can wear a hijab all day long. You'll never hear a complaint about me. All I will ever do, the most you will ever hear from me, is pointing out that the Quran says why you're supposed to wear the hijab. It's to avoid being molested, which makes it sound like it's okay to molest you if you're not wearing a hijab. So I'll point out
and
that.
That's certainly the understanding that many Muslims get, that it's okay to molest a woman who's not wearing hijab.
Yeah, and it's because of that. So it's not something they're not born some perverted way or something like that. Their God tells them that.
O Prophet, tell your wives and daughters and the believing women that they should cast their outer garments over their persons when abroad. That is most convenient. That they should be known as such and not molested. And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful.
And this is Matiullah Matieh, who was an Afghan refugee, very charming fellow and very mediagenic. He became the subject of several, not one, but several features on WSAW there in Wausau, Wisconsin, about his plight in Afghanistan and his new life in America and how grateful he is to be here. He said, this is a new culture, a new life. But I'm feeling...
I like him already. Sounds like a really good guy.
He said, I moved from small America, because that's where he was from, Lashkar Gah in Afghanistan, which is called Little America. And he moved from Little America to Large America. He said about the people in Wausau, I like these people. It's a very nice and beautiful city. I cannot imagine the night when I arrived first to the Wausau, and the mayor, Ms. Katie, and all the church ladies and gentlemen came for my welcoming. I told to my wife that I'm feeling like this was me and yours wedding night. Now,
wow. Wait, this is just a totally heartwarming story. I might have to do a video about this heartwarming story about someone who comes from Afghanistan, really, really tough over there, and then is greeted by the mayor and all these church ladies, and it's just beautiful, beautiful coming to America story. Wow.
It is. And then, unfortunately, David, Wausau Mayor Katie Rosenberg issued a statement saying, I was stunned and heartbroken to hear that a woman who was working to assist Wausau's new refugee arrivals in their resettlement reported that she was sexually assaulted by one of the refugees, none other than Matiullah Matieh. And she said, Katie went on to say, this doesn't define all Afghan refugees. We know that not all Afghan refugees will commit sexual assault.
That's true.
But there was another, David, in connection with this, and this one was in Virginia, and an Afghan named Mohammed Tariq, another refugee, who was arrested at Quantico Marine Base in Virginia because he was seen sexually assaulting a 3-year-old girl. And he explained that this was something that was perfectly acceptable in his culture. And I would not be surprised if Matiullah Matieh in Wausau, Wisconsin, also thought that what he was doing was perfectly acceptable because, of course, a woman who's not covered, who's not veiled, chapter 33, verse 59 of the Quran says that you veil in order to not be molested. So if you are not veiled, you are inviting the molestation. And it's your fault. And so I think Matiullah Matieh and Mohammed Tariq, they ought to be freed because they were just following their own culture and religion. To act as if that our laws supersede that is incredibly Islamophobic and ethnocentric.
And Yeah, I see someone posting Surah 65, verse 4, which, as you know, Robert, according to one of the most famous Muslim da'is on the planet, Mohammed Hijab, if you just go with what the Quran says there, you would assume that you can have sex with 5-year-olds. So I don't see why that would be any different for a 3-year-old if he says that the Quran gives you an idea that you could have sex with a 5-year-old.
If you look just at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all. If you just read the Quran, it is halal. It would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. Chapter 65, verse 4.
But maybe, unfortunately, these Afghanis just, they weren't that familiar with the Hadith, and so they weren't aware of these passages, and so they just went with the Quran. And so it doesn't matter how young she is according to the Quran, but you also can take, sex captives from the enemies of Islam and so on. And so, needless to say, you get all sorts of horrible ideas. And Robert, it seems to me over many years of things like this happening. People are generally now familiar with the grooming gang situation in the UK, but you and I had read stories like that, similar stories. I've seen them from Australia. I'd seen them from Scandinavia. Those stories were. It just wasn't. It wasn't on the same scale. It wasn't as prominent as it was in the UK. But you have all of these situations with immigrants coming and just thinking it's perfectly acceptable to rape, gang rape, pimp out these non-Muslim girls, and it seems that in places like Afghanistan, where you have death penalties for all kinds of things, like someone could just kill you if you get out of line looking at his sister wrong or something like that, or she'll get killed too. But it seems like a lot of people just never develop any sort of internal moral compass about right and wrong, because the threat is always external, right? The threat is always external. You get out of line, we will kill you, and so you have to follow the rules that are imposed upon you. And then you get somewhere and you no longer have to worry about being killed for doing the wrong thing. And they just seem to lose their minds. Wait, now I can just go out and rape and do whatever I want. And
no virtue is ever inculcated. It's never said these things shouldn't be done because they are harmful to you and to the person that you're doing them to. And thus, you're better off if you do not do them. This kind of thing is never taught. It's just, if you do this, we'll cut off your hand or stone you to death or whatever.
And that's why there was, you remember in Egypt, Lara Logan, is that her name? Lara Logan?
Lara Logan, yes.
Yeah, she just walked around. She just walked around, and a mob of men jumped on her. I mean, they pounced, and that happened over and over and over again during those Egyptian protests and so on. But I mean, think about that. I mean, if I go to a football game or something like this and someone jumps on a girl, it's not going to be, oh, let's all jump on her. And yet there it is. Oh, a girl showed up. Hey, let's all molest her at the same time. And so it's like,
what is this data missing? I mean, this data has everything going for it, in fact, except for the evidence.
So, contrary to what this, at best, utterly dumb, ignoramus, irresponsible, buffoon, at worst, a clear-cut liar, says, there is evidence of a connection of rape with Islamic culture, driven directly from Islamic scriptures. We have testimonies of the perpetrators using religious references to the victims to justify their acts. So there are evidence. The stupidity in Islamic scriptures definitely bring toxic social behaviors also relating to rape. That's undeniable. Only complete ignoramus or apologies for Islam are in denial. No doubt. Okay, no doubt about that. The same way ISIS have lost any sense of right and wrong due to Islam, Islam not only destroys moral common sense, it also destroys rational objectivity. In this video of the three Muslims, they say how Mohammed Hijab destroys Ayaan Hirsi Ali.
And we are live, boys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the realest podcast in the dunya, the three Muslims. We're not going to keep it long.
When they say we are the realest podcast in the dunya, what they actually mean is that we are mindless robots that will agree and follow mainstream Islam without using our minds in the slightest. We will believe anything our Gandhis tell us without doing a 5-minute search on Google. Okay, that is what they mean.
And quick little disclaimer, there will be women shown in this video, right? So men, if you want to lower your gaze, we're doing this for academic critiquing, but lower your gaze or just do audio only, and women, and so on and so forth. But before we go in, just wanted to make that disclaimer one more time before we go in.
Now this guy says that because in his video there will be women appearing, if you like, lower your gaze. My friend, you extreme sports. My friend, this kind of statement, not even this guy would have made. At least be honest. Don't say we are the realest podcast in the dunya. Say the truth. We are the most dogmatic, brain dead, without any sense of youth. We are 80-year-olds trapped in the bodies of 20-year-olds, brain dead, cultists in the dunya. This is what you need to say. We are the realest. Yes, you are extreme sports. What real do you say? You repeat like a robot, mainstream, the most dogmatic mainstream Islamic propaganda. How on earth you are realist? Even that you cannot comprehend the irony of what you are saying. Guys, look the irony. Notice this statement. In a video where they doubt Ayaan Hirsi Ali saying that Islam has prejudice against women, before they start this video, they make this statement.
Quick little disclaimer, there will be women shown in this video, right? So men, if you want to lower your gaze, we're doing this for academic critiquing, but lower your gaze or just do audio only.
That is the level of the delusion of these buffoons. Okay, in a video where they critique Ayaan Hirsi Ali saying that Islam has prejudice against women, they start this video by saying, there will be women appearing in our video, please lower your gaze. They don't mean like naked, just women appearing in their video. My friend, suck.